Hey, everybody. We're going to go ahead and get started in just a moment. I'm just going to go over a couple housekeeping things on behalf of the chapter and then hand it over to Jennifer. Where did Mohan go? Okay, well, if Mohan is back in a moment, we'll bring him up in front of the camera as well, because he's going to be presenting on behalf of the chapter in August for us. So super glad that he was here and available. As far as some of the housekeeping things, we just want to let everybody know that we are recording this, and we'll make it available on the chapter's website, along with a copy of the slide deck. We do want to make things as interactive as possible. So any questions that you have, anybody here, don't be shy, and help make this be as valuable for yourselves. And anybody online, please drop the questions in chat. Alex, if you want to come up, you and Chad got an awesome event coming up from today. Yeah. So if you guys want to just take a moment and let everybody know, and all of these events that we're talking about, if you go to ISACA-SD.org and under events, you'll see them all. And any of these are available, open to the public at no cost. So we just want to share as much knowledge with the community as we possibly can. And Mohan, would you like to come up and say and share what you're going to be talking about? These guys got a big workshop coming up on the 26th, but come on up. There's the camera, buddy. And say hi. There are folks, it's everybody here, plus folks online.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Mohan Shamachar from RSI Security. In August, I will be speaking on security awareness in the AI era. So I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Thank you.
Awesome.
I'll let Chad talk to our events. It's really his brainchild.
Oh, my brainchild. Hi, I'm Chad Collier. I'm a key instigator. We have an event next Thursday at X-Men here, starting at 2, to go over some hot topics for 2025, CMMC compliance and cloud automation.
So with that, we'll hand the microphone over to Jennifer. Please.
Alrighty, so everybody online, as you may notice, we have a little bit of a different setup. Hopefully things are a little bit clearer, both from an audio perspective as well as a visual perspective. So everybody here, if you can't hear yourself in the speaker or you're not talking to the mic with it being unmuted, then people online can't hear you. So if you pick up a mic, you'll notice on this that it lights up and it says mute or unmute. If it's muted, they can't hear you. If it's unmuted, they can. So if you could just make sure that if you want to contribute, that people online would very much like to hear what you have to say. So make sure that you speak into a mic.
So everybody here. Okay. So with that, super excited to have Jennifer speak. I don't know how many years we've known each other, but
pandemic, so that's like 5 years.
Yeah. It's been a long time. But Jennifer's just a stalwart within the community. She was the one that brought the Women in Cybersecurity San Diego chapter into fruition. She's always been a strong proponent of providing education into the community. So when she reached out and asked if she could speak on this, it was just an absolute no-brainer. So we're super happy to have you here. We appreciate you. And with that, I'll shut up and let the good stuff begin.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Really an honor to be here today and talk about a very, very important topics. And to this day, I haven't known anyone actually using this AI risk management framework from NIST. So we're really excited, and also a little bit advocacy, like, if you haven't used it yet, I'm going to introduce it to you today. And hopefully after today, you'll be less scared, and, maybe you'll understand a little more and start using it. Little bit about me. I'm actually from British Hong Kong, so if you can hear my British accent, that's why, even though I'm Chinese. I am That to say, I have to put this on. I am a U.S. citizen, so if you see me outside getting arrested and deported, please speak up for me. Hopefully it won't happen. It is like I used to hide that I have an anthropology degree. It is my BS degree. When I first came to the United States, I chose into go to anthropology, fascinating field, and it's very really helped me to really understand this AI things, because this AI is more than just technology, and you will see in the heart of the AI is people and planets. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And I do have a applied mathematics degree. And I used to tell people that, like, who I am, I'm actually a mathematician turned cybersecurity engineer. So I've been an engineer for 10 years now. And I did a Fulbright, go to Denmark to study quantum informatics. Like they say, I'm a founder in 2020, August. I'm founder of Women in Cybersecurity San Diego affiliate. So any people want to like chat with me a little bit later about this chapter, it's really fantastic group of great women to support each other and really trying to help others to break into the field, men and women, anybody to break into the cybersecurity fields. Okay, let's go into it. So why NIST come out with this AI RMF framework? So why do they do that? So that's the goal. Now let me emphasize that this is a free resources for everybody to use, for organization to use. It is a voluntary base. It's not compulsory. It's not like mandated that like some other framework that they mandated you have to use it. And it's free resources for organizations to do design, develop, and deploy and using AI system to really help to manage the risk of AI. And also, they also want to promote trustworthy and responsible development of the use of AI. And you will see, in the presentation that is something that, really everybody need to pay attention to about AI. Everybody using AI right now. So it's very important that we understand, what AI actually is, what's the risk, how we manage it, how are we going to, as a organization or company viewpoint, how are we going to, make sure that our AI is responsible and trustworthy. To start, there's a one-page fact sheet. This is the page that you can send it to your executive leadership. If your company has not been thinking about it or know about it, it's like, what? I never heard about this, because this just came out in January 2023. So a year and a half ago, this framework just came out a year and a half ago. So it's very possible that you may not really, know. So if your company or, organization hasn't used it yet, this one-page fact sheet, will be great to send it to your executive leadership and say, hey, check it out and see, that is AI standards from NIST, and then yourself or anybody else, you see the main page right here. This is basically the documentation that I'm going to speak about today, and it's just the online version of the documentation. But if you want to print out the whole documentation, it's right here. You want to read on paper instead. So these two links can really help you and your company to begin thinking about using AI RMF. Okay, so now before we really going into the framework, so what is AI? AI system. Everybody use it. Anybody use Gemini? Anybody use Google? Your cell phone, right? Telling you, anybody be in a self-driving car? Everybody been to it. So they all filter all using AI. So what is it actually AI? So this is something that I kind of, from the documentation, they'll say AI is no longer an information system. Before, when you do RMF, you always think about this is an information system, but it's not. It's a socio-technical system. And that's why that I feel like that my anthropology background is actually helping me to really understand the human aspect of this. So there is a human aspect, societal aspect, and the technical aspect on that. And what is fueling the AI system is human behavior. We all know that we are not perfect. We all have unexpected behavior, and with societal dynamic. We will talk a little bit about societal dynamic. As I say, when you change the societal, change their value and stuff, that you might affecting your AI system as well. So your risk and benefit is really coming from the technical aspects and the social factors of this AI system. So I put out this quote from the documentation. This is responsible AI is meant to result in technology that is also equitable, and accountable. So we really need to hold ourselves accountable. Right now, we're using AI. We don't know what they do at the back. We don't know whether their model is correct or not. We don't know whether they validate or verifying it or not. We basically just blindly using AI right now. And the company doesn't have, it really depends on the company and the product to really verify that. And then how do they actually, build that and use that? Are they transparent about, some of the things that they do? So again, the definition from the AI system from the NIST, and it is actually based on two international system in here, international organization here. And we all really familiar with the ISO, right? So it's from there. They have an AI section for that, publication for that, and an OECD recommendation on that. So usually what you do is like when you use an AI, you always have a set of objectives. I want the AI to do this. I want the AI to do that. And then you build a system, and this system is engineered, it's not natural, and it's machine-based. And what fueling this system is data. And I think a lot of people know about that and not really talk about it a lot. Everybody talk about AI, how great it is, automation and stuff. But behind AI is really data, a lot of data, right? And then they will come up with some kind of prediction, recommendation, decision, whatever you want the AI system to do, either in a real environment or in the virtual environment, right? So like self-driving car is a real environment. Virtual environment, maybe you use that to improve your productivities in your company, right? So that's what AI actually means. So I think the most important part is in understand that, it's our lot of data fueling the AI system in here. So these two organizations, international organization. So if your company is doing business or your AI product is going to, reach internationally, these two will be really helping you. And there's some other document that needs published too, and you can see that too. So those are the links. You don't have to really take pictures. So this link will be sent to you. And then you can actually click on that link. Those links are live in the presentation. So this is just make it easy for you. And it also, while I'm talking to it, the reference on what I'm talking on that slide will be a link on there. So you can click on it and, you don't need to wait until the end to put all the resources at the back. I think that is much easier to click on the relevant, content when I talk about that. Okay, so this is like, again, international organization. So if your product is going to sell it to Japan, Korea, and Singapore, they have the documentation. They have what they call a crosswalk documentation. So your NIST AI IMF 1.0 is actually drawn from all this documentation. So you can see that this is not just like happening in the air. So if you're going to do business with Japan, you got that, the Japan AI guy, for business. And they might have some kind of like, requirement or some kind of things that you have to do before you sell them their AI system or and then they have like, this is all live link, and this is the resources you can do what I'm talking about, the crosswalk document. So wherever I talk about the content on the slide, you have the link right there. So you don't have to search for it at the end. So it's really good resources to see. And then you know that this is not just an American standard because they have drawn this from international standard as well. Okay, facts and stats. So on the AI, so when we talk about international, worldwide, what is AI looks like? Why do we need that? Like, for example, like why it come out so late, or why it come out not soon enough, or why not come out, even later on? So this is a OECD. OECD is organizational economic something. I can't remember that, but it's an international organization, and they are actually tracking the incident response. The incident on the AI system internationally. So you can see that right here, we're all good maybe because we're not using AI, that much. Boom, all of a sudden we use AI on 2022 and 2023, your incident is jumped 1,278%. So it is only a matter of time if you do not have your risk management on your AI system, it will somehow, it will have an incident. Now, don't ask me what is incident. You can go back to the link and see that. But I think the timing is really, really, good, 2022 and 2023. And this RMF, AI RMF framework is come out January 2023. So it's really, really needed. We can only see the incident going to, increase. So we really should really, thinking about using this. This is going to show you in 2020, the investment on AI. U.S. is invest tremendously amount in 2020. And I think we all kind of remember that, oh, there's a lot of stock. Oh, this is the next new thing. Everybody want to invest in the stock. But then it's like, oh, they're not doing that great because they're not delivering what they promised. So I think we kind of all remember that, like a few years ago that the stock market wasn't doing too well on the AI. And that might be the reason because there's no standard. That's like, how do they do it, and with the incident increasing between 2022 and 2023, so that is probably why. And then let me see, U.S. invest a lot. Okay, so that is compared to all the other country, and then the top 3 overall publication, and China is actually outpace us. We only have 11%, and China have 22% of that publication in here. And China have been increasing in its AI publication since 2016 already. So this is not AI is not like a big new shiny thing. It has been already, talked about, in the world, in China, in U.S., and it's funny story to tell you that I got my master's degree in 2010. So 2009, 2008, that era, I remember, oh, this is recorded, I forgot. Okay, hopefully it won't get me in trouble, but I remember that we were talking about AI like 2009, let's just say 2010, 15 years ago. And I remember this professor just do not believe AI could happen. There's no such thing as AI. Think about 15 years from now, 15 years from then. Wow, boom, we are all using AI in our phone, in our computer, everywhere, So it is really, the technology is progressing really, really fast. And then we really need to have some kind of standards and requirement and validation and a great framework to try to really control the risk that it is having. And so the NIST is actually, again, publishing this in January 2023, just came out. Okay. So NIST is always like to talk about life cycle. They always like to talk about the system life cycle. So what is the AI system life cycle is about? So when you look at that, it is very, very interesting. One of the most interesting facts is the core of this. Can you see people and planet? What do they say? AI actually you need to worry about human rights and the well-being of society and the planet. When we do a regular information system, do we need to worry about so much about human rights and the climate change? Maybe not, right? Maybe the most, okay, how much energy you use to have this run this system. But AI apparently, actually, AI, I don't know about the energy consumption, but I know in quantum computing, it's a lot of energy consumption going into quantum computing. But this is just to kind of show you that this is more than just a technical system. There is societal aspect, there is human aspect in the AI, because that what it does, what you want them to do, when they make decisions, it might affecting each of us, it might affecting a group of people, it might affecting the planet, it might affecting our environment. So it's very, very important to kind of know about that. And then it's the cycle, and then you can see more about it right here. So this is really interesting when you looking at the life cycle and you have the application, application contacts. You have, of course, you have plan and design, collect and process data, build your model, verify and validate your model, deploy and use your model, and then operate and monitor your model, and then the last but not least, use or impact by, certain things. And the blue circle in here that is telling you that, at the very, very beginning, TEVV, that means test, evaluation, verification, and validation. So that's different between verification and validation in here. That's why they put TEVV in there. TEVV including audit, that's what ISACA do, right? Audit and impact assessment at the very, very beginning. You have to do that when they have the AI plan and design, you will already have to do that impact assessment. How does that going to be impact whatever that your AI system designed to do? And then when you go in there, and then you also have the compliance right here when you have the output, and you have the compliance test and validation right there. That is something that, you also need to do. And in the middle, it is that the next slide you will see there's a lot of data scientists like work on there. And then when the application, when you operate and monitor, of course, that's when you operate, you have to monitor. It's not, hey, I'm done, this is good, but you have to continue monitoring the AI system that you build. And then again, it will have the impact assessment right here, and you have also TEVV and the impact assessment at the very end of it. So what does that actually tell you? You can read the fine print and stuff together. But what it is telling you is that according to this life cycle, from the very beginning to the end, and now it didn't really tell you, it doesn't say the decommission of your system. It didn't have that part. Usually when you see a system life cycle, you do have a decommission part of it, but in here, they didn't put it on there for some reason. But you can tell that what does that mean that your compliance and your governance is going to be coincide with the data scientists, with the human factors team, with other expertise in here. So it's going to be an interdisciplinary team to build your AI system, to build a responsible and trustworthy AI system. You're not going to depend on the developer only. You're not only depends on the data scientists only, but you have to have all these people to work together. And in this framework, it is really emphasis on the interdisciplinary of your team as well. And then of course you have the, your end user, and you might have some advocacy go, hey, you're using too much energy, it's hurting our, planet or climate and whatever. Or you say, hey, you're discriminatory, your AI system is hurting this group of people or whatever. So it is really, you really need to work with all this group and in order to build a trustworthy and responsible AI. I stop for a minute, and you guys have any question before we go into trustworthy? So now you go in a little bit more, and then you can ask. Yes. Well, you need to use a microphone.
Can you hear me now? Perfect, thank you. So Jennifer, in the life cycle, did you mention or I didn't catch about the maintenance of the AI? Because after you deploy, so maybe people forgot about that one, but now there are things that change, no?
Right here,
culture,
and
legal, so.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We have to, maintain it. We have to, so once you build it, your operation, and you have to monitoring it. And because remember, the societal dynamic is continues changing your AI system, you got to monitoring it, you got to making sure that it's still doing what it's supposed to do. And then that is something that it is continuous. So it's not like you build a system, it's done, you verify everything, it's good, Again, because this is not just a technology system, because what you want to do, what you want the AI to do, most likely will be affecting human being or the planet. And that's why that you need to continuous monitoring that, and in other IMF 853, continuous monitoring of the system is also very important. So this is the same thing in here as well. Thank you for the questions. Okay, so trustworthy, how are we going to measure? A lot of you guys are like, okay, yeah, I want to be responsible. I know that, AI can be hurtful. I know that it can harm something, but it can also do good things. How am I going to making sure that AI is actually trustworthy? And then, so this is like again, this is all from the NIST framework, like the book, the standard. They named 7 characteristics of the trustworthy AI system. So I love this quote from the book, from the framework. It says, trustworthiness is a social concept that ranges across a spectrum. and it's only as strong as its weakest characteristics. I think it's really well said. It's very well said. You have 7 characteristics right here. The weaker characteristic, that is as strong as your trustworthy is. Now, some of them, you pretty obvious, like safety, security and resilient, explainable and interpretable, privacy enhanced, fairness with harmful bias managed, accountability, accountable and transparent, again, and again, reliable and validate. So these 7 characteristics, why this is so important and why this is becoming is a human aspect of it, because that's human judgment. You have metrics and you have threshold value, and those need to set by your organization, by your company, that, okay, what is the threshold that we will launch? There's nothing is 100% safe, right? There's nothing is 100% privacy. So you have trade-off of all these characteristics. Which one is you think is more important? And then you have to human judgment. You have to make the metrics, and then you have to give it a threshold value, and then you will say, okay, this is good to launch now. This is good to deploy now, right? So this is, and again, it's contextual awareness too. So you got to making sure that, do you have a diverse AI actor? It's interdisciplinary. It's interesting that I find this interesting in this framework is actually kind of like concentrating on really diversity of the AI actors. We will see what AI actors are about, and interdisciplinary. So for example, we're calling diversity. Okay, facial recognition. How many people know about this? Yeah, how many people have heard about it? Have you been identified? And say, hey, we will identify you. Hey, do you know that African American are only 89% accurate? Do you know that? They happy? No, I am Asian, so I'm allowed to say that all Asian look alike, right? So they actually say that. So they actually say that the iPhone sometimes, for the Asian faces, you can use some of your friend's face to unlock your iPhone. I don't know whether you heard about that. So I heard about that. So why is this, right? And then if you are African American female, that's the intersectionality of the gender and the race. Because remember, when you build an AI system, what is fueling your AI system? What is fueling your AI system? Very important. Data, right? So then you do not have the data. So I just look at our country. I think it's only 6 or 7% are Asian American in our population. Where in the heck are you going to find all this Asian to be in your data, right? They should really actually ask Chinese, right? The Chinese government, they are so good at AI in facial recognition, right? So that's the thing. So it's the data. So if you are going to have a system, are going to facially recognize certain thing and then point out, or monitor or surveillance or whatever, you better have good data behind it, Otherwise, you're catching the wrong people in there. And that's just one of the example. And the other example I went to talk about maybe 2 years ago in a conference. This lady was talking to me that, okay, yeah, the court system is using AI to calculate the risk of the defendants. And they was really mad that she was saying that this is ridiculous because a white male have a low, who is a serious offense, have a lower risk than a Black woman who are only, have a misdemeanor offense. Because why? Again, behind AI, there are data. And how do they get the data to assess people's risk? Criminal record and the criminal record in the criminal justice system are systemic bias, right? There's a lot of more unproportionally African American in our prison system. If you're using that kind of bias data, now this is going to truly have a serious effect on that woman. Right? I'm only have a misdemeanor offense, and you say that I have a higher risk, and now my bond, is higher. And it's like, it's actually a true effect. So that's why I'm saying that in this framework, you can see how some of the AI system is affecting people, personal life, right? What other, this is, yeah. Okay.
The question online is, does the framework address specific threats for likelihood or impact assessment, for instance, unauthorized use of data in foundation models?
So the framework itself does not go into detail. That is up to the organization to define those. They do not say that, but in here, I'm going to tell you what OWASP may have the 10, risks on the LLM. But so you will have, they are very vague, and you can see that in their category and subcategory, they don't go into specific risks, but you as an organizer have to define why, because not all AI systems are like no one formula fit all, because you mostly, remember, it's depend on your objective, right, of your AI system. What do you want the AI system to do? So having the AI use cases is very important, because different AI use cases will have different risks on there. So that's why that this framework actually does not explicitly telling you what risk is, but you have to go have your expertise, and probably your data scientists or your modelers, your data modelers, they will tell you some risk. Or you should have a cybersecurity personnel, right, on your team. So then they will know, they will let you know that some of the risks in your system that you're doing. So that is something that, I know personally, and I heard, from conference and stuff, and it's just interesting that I see that a couple places they really concentrate on emphasis on diversity of the AI actor. So what are AI actors? Now, this is what the framework is defined for AI actor. They have like listed 10 of them, and then they also have additional 5 of them now. So the other one, other AI actors, it's just like, it's not really real AI data, but you can say, right, whoever designed it, whoever developed it, so most likely your developer, those are the AI actor, whoever deploy it, whoever operating it and monitoring it, and then you have people that testing it, evaluation, verification, and validation, and you also have human factor in here, and whoever maybe have certain human factor depends on what your AI is. You'll have domain experts. So if you are going to have self-driving cars, maybe you need to have a civil engineer to telling you about the road design and stuff, so that you have domain expert in there. Again, depends on what your AI do. And then AI impact assessment right here, right? And the procurement, what do you need to buy? Did you have interact with other system? And then of course you have the governance and oversight right here, right? So those are all AI actors. And then so because your AI can potentially affecting human and your planet or society, so then you need to making sure that you have a diverse team in here, right here, right? So for example, self-driving car. So who is actually on the road? Everybody, right? Male and female, right? If you only have, let's say, for example, male driver, like, oh, male driving is different way. I don't know. I mean, everybody talk about male driver, female driver, whatever, but everybody drive a little bit differently. If you're just kind of using one, oh, these people that only drive BMW, right? And then you're using them, and they are the one who's going to design the AI system. Is it fair? Not everybody driving a BMW, not everybody have that rich, So, so that is very different. So that's why that you need to really, consider the diverse, AI actor in there. And of course, you have the third-party entity sometime in here, an end user. Who's your end user on your AI? One of the things I can tell you that, and my work, I think it's kind of like previous work. They start using recording when you're meeting. They will have recording. So since, well, as I say, I'm from Hong Kong, I speak a little British accent. When I read the recording, what is this? I cannot read this because they did not catch my accent. So it's like, okay, good thing that I take note, right? Otherwise, I would not, if I depends on them, say, whoa, Jennifer, you're just like saying nonsense in here, right? So your end user, who's your end user? You got to be, how people use your AI is also important to know. Affecting individual and community. This is very interesting. So I can tell you that I am very interesting project, one of the project called cyber psychology. So this is really interesting. You're bringing the cybersecurity expertise, experts and sociologists or psychologists or the PhD psychologists. I remember in a meeting, they're throwing terms to me. I'm like, what is this? I don't understand. Even I have an anthropology degree. I don't really understand that. I'm just like, good luck, you guys, bringing all these two different expertise together in a room and try to do certain things, right? It's really a certain, you have to have that mutual understanding. You have to have that almost like a cross-function training in there. But because this is related to a human subject research, I have to take the class, I have to take the training on the human subject research. And that kind of really opened my eyes because I'm always work on the technical side of it, like information system, who cares about human, they just use it, right? But when you do a human subject research, it's really different. In one of the things I remember is particularly saying that if your research results or your method will be doing damage to one community or one a group of a subgroup of your people in your society, you need to be careful about that. You need to consider that. So this is something that kind of opened my eyes that we might not really think about it for many of us in the technical field, and then we don't use human subject, right? So, but this is really, that's what it means, that it might have the effect on individual or community that you don't even realize that. So that's why that assessment, planning, overseeing, governing is standards, requirement is very important. And then there's also, of course, the general public, because we're all using OpenAI right now. Right? But by the way, the topics, I asked OpenAI. So I changed it a little bit, but I'm like, okay, I have this idea, query OpenAI. Hey, what's a better way to say this? I use that a lot, but hey, everybody using it right now, right? So this is, again, it's quoting in here. So when properly resourced, increasing the breadth and diversity of input from interested parties and relevant AI actors throughout the AI lifecycle can enhance opportunities for informing contextually sensitive evaluation and for identifying AI system benefit and positive impact. So if you, let's say you self-driving car, you have all male team on there, and you don't have a female on there to actually, evaluate that, right? So because the road is like all people driving on the road. You cannot just have one group. Or as I say, everybody driving BMW, like trying to get up with the, AI system. Of course, it's going to be biased, right? So you have to make sure that when you're evaluating your AI system, when you're doing assessment, you have that breadth and diversity to have making sure that you have, informing the conceptual sensitive, evaluation on there, and making sure that it is really, trustworthy and responsible on your AI, because it does affect, people. Okay.
A question online from Riley. What are the considerations with regards to preventing hallucinations and compounding fabricated training data?
Yes, that is really good question. So again, in the framework, they did not tell you explicitly how to do it. It really depends on the company to do that. And so what that means that you have to go back to your framework in here, and you have to making sure that your life cycle, every step of the life cycle, you have the compliances and the governance in every single step of that to prevent hallucination. Because if you're over-reliant on your AI model, so your AI model, right, you build it, use it, you got to verify and validate it. You will most likely in this stage that you will be preventing the hallucination if you have a good team, a diverse and breadth team to actually verify and validate the AI systems in there.
Oh, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the question. Well, let's move on. Okay, so hopefully you kind of get it, have an idea about what this framework is about. So risk and benefits, right? We love risk, right? This is all about risk management, right? So again, this is just like, depends on the company, depends on the AI system. You have this like 5x5 matrix, and it's a traditional risk management. Nothing that is different than what you have been doing. And in fact, a lot of the framework, a lot of the category and subcategory, when you see it, you probably, oh, we already done that. Now we just need to integrate the AI part into it. So it's not like that's something that you have, oh my gosh, we have to do it like from scratch, everything, it's not like that. Even with the RMF, like 853 is the same way too. So of course, this is like, probability of occurring versus magnitude of the consequence. And then there's also like, is it a long time risk? Is it a short-term risk? Is it a systematic risk, or is it like a localized risk? So that, and then what other risks that the AI has? So that brings us to some example in here. So, and again, the framework doesn't particularly explicitly telling you what risks they are, but they give you example of the harm to people, harm to organization, and harm to ecosystem. And basically in here, individual, civil liberty, rights, physical and psychological safety, economic opportunity, harm to a group, discrimination against it, democratic participation or educational access, or if you are using AI to try to do a school admission, right? Think about that, right? That is going to, you got to make sure that that's fair and that's, trustworthy to do that. You could harm your organizational reputation because, like, let's say Harvard is using AI to do it, and then they only, made all this, like, rich and elite kids, right? And say, hey, wait a minute, they're going to, well, they're elite already, but but they're going to harm your organization reputation, or hey, you're not, aligned with your value and stuff. So. And then an ecosystem, it depends on the element of resources. As I say, I'm not sure about the energy consumption on AI, but I do know that you do a tremendous amount of energy for Bitcoin mining. People always talk about that. In European, when I was in Europe, people are very concerned about that. That is all the car is stake. I cannot drive a stake. Nobody drives a car anymore. Anyway, and in Europe, they can only, this is like 10, 15 years ago. You can, a group of us, international expat, and then we're renting a car, and then that's not automatic because it's raised too much gas. That's because the gasoline is crazy in Europe. So I know quantum computing use extremely a lot amount of energy as well. That is, they also concerned about, the climate change, the CO2 output. So what it is actually when you need to assess your risk, it really depends on use cases, right? Again, what you want the AI to use, like different use cases will have different risks, right? Some of them might not be so much on people, maybe on planet, some of them maybe on something else. So you have to look at the use cases, and in fact, actually the framework has some example of the use cases that you can look at, and I have a link on that. And then again, how and where AI is used is also important to figure out the risk, and then what are they going to, and you need to have the assessment to say, okay, how does it potentially harm people, harm your organization, and harm your ecosystem? So this is something that organizations need to figure out. And again, the framework does not explicitly tell you what kind of risk they have. So you have to have a, on cybersecurity, an expert on your team, or you will have to rely on your data scientists or modelers, data modelers, ML modelers to figure out that risk. So I asked OpenAI, I love OpenAI, it's free, and I got an account on that. I asked him all kinds of different things, and that when you enter your question in there, they would just help them to train, right, their model more. So this is just to show it to you. I asked OpenAI 3 times. I asked them, what are the risks on AI system? Why not? They build a system, right? Let's ask AI what AI risks are, right? So I asked it 2 times that they give me a pretty similar answer. Security risk, ethical, ego is something that the framework is already talked about. And I asked them 2nd time, hey, geopolitical come out, right? And long-term, and this is like about the same, but new is geopolitical. And I asked them a 3rd time. It come up with a completely different answer. It's a bias, discrimination, privacy, surveillance, misinformation, and manipulation. And this is all very valid risks of your AI system. So you need to really assess your system of what kind of risks they are. And when you use OpenAI, it's basically, this is a generative AI, right? I don't know whether you heard anybody say, please don't hate me if you don't disagree with me. Generative AI, someone was telling me, it's just glorified word search, It's something that is not really doing a lot of it basically just searching, the document and then summarizing it back to you, right? It's not really having some kind of decision and stuff. So, but when the frameworks, our math frameworks talk about AI system, it's more than just generative AI system. AI is more than just generative AI system. AI as a system. So it is not necessarily talk about generative system. Because generative AI, they do have a separate document about generative AI. And when you especially talk about generative AI, you have a large language model. This is what OWASP actually come up with the 10 risks, the top 10 LLM on here. That you can see that that's actually, the framework didn't say that, but OWASP actually published this probably like about, maybe even before the framework. So they will say, prompt instruction, we all know about this. It's kind of like a cross-script attack right there. Insecure output handling, over-reliance, that's your hallucination, kind of your hallucination in here. You're over-relying and you think AI is all telling you the truth, the ground truth. As I show you, you ask AI 3 times, they give you 3 times different answer. AI cannot be the ground truth. Model threat, someone can actually hijack your model by, if they understand your model, they can input certain data. Data poisoning, I think that's one of them. And those are the only the LLM, the risk in here. So this is only talking about the large language model risk in here. So OWASP have that. But as far as the other risks, you have to really go into, your company. Your company and your organization should have some kind of risk management already. So it's not something that is completely doing from scratch. It's basically just thinking about that, okay, how does that going to be affect, how does AI going to be affect, and you already have that risk management, in your company. So what kind of risk does it add on? There's certainly add on certain risks. So it's something that you can see some of the example there that if you read that, you probably know, okay, our company already doing that, And again, I want to emphasize that it's not something that you have to do from scratch. You probably have done this, half of it already. So this is particular for LM risk in here. And then, so what's the benefit in here? So again, OECD have done a report. It's only on 7 countries. I didn't come out with all, there's only 7 countries. So again, data, right? You got to be careful, what data they are using. Statistics don't lie, but people interpret it differently. And assumption, there's always assumption behind the statistic. You see that one of the biggest benefit is the performance, right? How many times that you hear that, hey, AI can help me do things faster and better and more, and I'm trying to look at my time. And then they also talk about enjoyment. They also talk about physical health and stuff, but it's no doubt that, the performance is like really the winner. And then AI is not really good at everything. I think before people were saying, oh, this is brand new shiny toy that everybody wants to have one, but you don't really need AI on certain things, right? So you have to be careful whether you need the AI or not right there. But no doubt, there's a lot of people using that as improve their performance. And you have help. So that is, again, OECD, the international organization that the RMF, AI RMF based on, that if you go to this website, and then they have tools, they have metrics and objective, and then they can help you. And then they have, right here, they can help you to making sure that your AI is trustworthy AI. So they have metrics to measure it and stuff. So I didn't really go look into it that much, but the point is like you have tools out there to help you. You don't have to reinventing the tools. There is a lot of resources, free resources. You don't have to pay me or pay anybody to use that. And again, the link is there. When you get the site, when you get the stack, you can say, okay, this is really the heart of the AI. Okay, yeah. Okay, so I do have some more time. Okay, I'm trying to speak really fast and try to, it's like 10 minutes, I can't finish. Okay. Oh, okay, I can claim more CPE hours. Okay, great, I need more CPE hours. Okay, so this is really the core, the framework, the core and the profile. So that when I say, although the framework didn't tell you explicit risks and stuff, but you have example in here to, to kind of like, model yourself, your assessment on. So this is what I call it, well, as a mathematician, right? So I call it GM cube. So it's govern, map, measure, and manage. So this is like the framework, like, so what we actually talked about before on the RMF, AI framework, AI RMF framework, we talk about the risk, the audience, and the trustworthy and the effective. You have to keep on measuring it. You have to keep on monitoring it. Now you get to the core and talking about the AI, the RMF, the core. And this is very similar to if you are familiar with the 853 controls, it's kind of really similar to control, but not as explicit as those like control, it's a bit more kind of vague, but again, because they don't know, this is trying to have a general framework to fit all AI systems. So you have to really go into your particular AI system and then try to see, what the risks are. So GM cube. So the best way to go approach it is use the playbook online. So if you go to this, website, you go to the playbook, and this is like a digital version of the document. And then what you do is like you're going to be selecting. You can select govern, you can select all these AI actors, and you can select some of the topics. Altogether, you should have 72. They call it category and subcategories. I call it control, kind of like a security control that we do in our math. But there's categories, 72 of them. And if you choose, you don't have to choose everybody. And we say, I just want to know governance. They have 19 of those categories that they can show up to you. So I just pick like this too, affecting individual and community, and then the govern, and then you show up one of one entry, 5.1. And then once you click on this orange button, and then it will bring you to this page, and then it will tell you what 5.1 is about. It's about the organizational policy and practices in place to collect and consider, prioritize, and integrate feedbacks from those external to the team that developed or deployed the AI system regarding the potential individual and societal impacts related to AI risks. I really think that they need more comma in those sentences. They are really long sentences. But anyway, there is a little plus button. If you push on it, they will give you 4 different categories. Look at that. They have a suggestions action. If you do not know what to do, hey, let's see what NIST tell you what to do, right? And they tell you what is this about, and they also have a very important, again, this framework. They have a lot of time they talk about transparency and documentation, of course. Transparency is very important. And then they also have the reference. And you say, hey, I want more information about it, and they can also have the reference. So it's very handy tool instead of looking at the book. I actually bought the book too. The documentation in here too. But this is an online version. They call Playbook. And then it will help you to select certain category and subcategory, and then you will see what you need to do. So they have a lot of help on there. There is no reason not to use this. And then, so this is just to tell you how many category and subcategory in each of the topics. So again, GMMM, GM cube, and then governing have 19, map have 18, 22, 13. Pretty evenly, I would say pretty evenly, distributed. And that's the total 72 coming from. So if you're looking at the most popular topics, like top 8, top 1, 2, 3, 5, top 6, of course, the test and evaluation, validation, verification and validation, right, is very important. They have 21 of them. Governance, of course, you have the governance. Costco tell me that, I remember I was talking to some of the Costco or cybersecurity, expert person in Costco in a conference, and they were saying that they don't know what to do about AI, but they do have a governing board on AI. So that's like about the first thing you should do, right? Again, GM cube, G, governing, right? Governance. So you have a start with a governing board, you are halfway there already. You are better than a lot of other people have no clue what do they know whether their AI is good or not, right? So 19 of them. So actors, AI actors, most popular, you have 43 categories and subcategories, operation and monitoring. Again, operation and monitoring. Just because you build your AI system, it doesn't mean you're done. You still have monitoring that. How is the societal dynamics going to change your AI system, right? Because most of them is continuous learning model, and then how is that going to do? People are going to input certain things, is it going to change your result? You got to continuous monitoring and deployment. Deployment is also very important, and then you can see the test and evaluation again. There are 27 category of them, all the AI actor on there. This is just to show you that the core, the category and subcategory that what is important in this framework, so to speak. All right, so let's dig into the details. I'm not going to go through all this, but again, governance, right? They have 6 of them. They have 6 main category, and then each of the category has certain subcategory. Basically, I just don't have space, so I don't give you an example in here. But the other two, they have. One of the interesting, again, look at that. It's governance 3, workforce diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI right now is such a bad word. Now, talk about social dynamic. Can you imagine that a company say, hey, I'm going to get rid of DEI. What is it going to do to their AI system, right? So before this and after this, and you're going to have 2 very different AI systems to evaluate and to assess, right? So this is again, they are really care about that. You got to have that diverse. It doesn't mean man and woman or racial or anything. It also means your expertise, right? You have to have different expertise people in there. You have to have I would say you should have a mathematician on the team just because I'm a mathematician and I'm biased on mathematician, But, you have to have the developer. You have to have maybe executive. You have to have the domain expert. You have to have people that, actually one of them, they even say that when you're developing the AI system, you might not see the output. But that person ought to be included when you have the output. Again, it's kind of like the cross-training, cross-functional training. You got to making sure that every single team is, every person on the team is aware of every single, all the life cycle. That's ideally speaking, right? But that is what the framework is kind of like promoting right now on that. And then, okay, I have more space now, so I can put in some of the example in here on the mapping. So you can see that it's very, again, you can see context is established and understood. What context, right? Depends on your AI system. It's very vague and it's not explicit at all. It's very implicit. So it really depends on your company to define all the risk and benefit are mapped for all components of the AI system, including third-party software and data. They're just telling you what to do. How to do it, you have to figure out how to do it because each AI system is different. So this is like, and you say there's some subcategory, you would say map 1.2, 3.3, 3.2, 5.2, things like that. And again, interdisciplinary AI actor, they are really concentrating on this. So the governance and map is very concentrated on the diversity and on the interdisciplinary aspect of the team. And then this just example, you don't have to read it, just to show you that that's what map is about. And then when you look at that measure, so again, it's just one sentence right here, right? AI systems are evaluated for trustworthy characteristics. Remember how many trustworthy characteristics we have? It's a lucky number 7, right? So they have 7. So according to this framework, 7 characteristics of trustworthy, and you need to evaluate them, right? Again, how do you evaluate them? The metrics that you use, the threshold that you use, it all depends on the organization and human. Or maybe you can ask OpenAI to do it for you. I don't know. So, and it's something that interesting to me that it's not going to be always like quantitative. They also call for qualitative measure, right? You have to measure qualitatively and quantitatively. So that means that the context, the substance in there is also as important as the number that you measure. So your metrics might look a little bit different, depends on what your AIs, want to do. So that's a measure, which is basically a TEVV thing. And then manage, right? And again, always have this part on it. And a little bit more sentence, in here. Let's just take 2. Strategies to maximize AI benefit. Of course, we all want to do that, right? And minimize negative impact on plan. Like, of course we do that. And they actually put a lot of comma on this one. That's good. Negative impacts are planned, prepared, implemented, and documented, and informed by input from relevant AI actors, right? So again, they are really just like telling you what you should do. This is the goal. All these categories kind of like give you the goal, and then how and you do it is really up to the company and up to your AI system. One of the things I find is interesting that just because you have an AI system, it doesn't mean that it won't fail or it will always do the way that you want it to be. So that is one thing that they say, and this is like we should all really familiar with this, right? Risk management is like, resources required to manage AI risks are taken into account along with viable non-AI alternative. So that means that when your system fails or when your system no longer trustworthy and maybe is destroying your company's reputation, what do? You better prepare. You better prepare to have a viable non-AI system there. It's very similar to the 853, again, some of the security control, right? You have to have a backup plan. Yeah, if your system is down, what is it? You have a cold site or warm site, and things like that. So this is something that is not like just like, new to some of us, I believe. And if you're looking at this, and if you're in a risk management space, and you look at this, it's like, hey, I did this before, Now it's just like have a new, kids in town called AI. Now I just need to integrating her maybe, or integrating their system into my risk management plan. So again, I really want to encourage you guys, just try it, because you can be one of the successful use cases that NIST is published publish your use cases on there, and everybody can use that as a model. So that they have three, 5 use cases, and they have one in industry, a Workday use case. I didn't look into it, but it just show you that, Google DeepMind, hey, when you're using Google DeepMind, oh, great, they actually follow this AI RMF templates, or framework in here. And then they have government, they have City of San Jose, they have the playbook here. Hiring framework, look. It must be good. It must be, we all think that, if you use AI to hire, you might miss some of the good candidate, or we might be biased toward a group of people, So there is a framework, there is a use case in here that you can actually go in and look into it. And academia, they also have University of Michigan, Dearborn in here. So who knows, your company might be on here, right? And then you might be presenting some more what do you call it, like a substance, like for people who has not done this before. How do we do that? Let's look at other people, how they did it, and then we can kind of like model your own company or organization needs to their model. So the use cases is very important. Every AI is different. So what you want them to do, how its impact is always different. So it starts in the very beginning on the AI. So again, don't be afraid to try it. It's free. There's other resources in here that, again, you can click on that. And I gave you the OWASP 10 ML model in here, the main page in here. There's a lot of other resources, a lot of other links on there. They have a trustworthy, responsible AI Intelligent Resource Center in here. So they have all kinds of resources. They have training. They have meeting. This framework is still, I believe they still continuously, solicits feedback. So if you look at their category and subcategories, say, hey, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense in our situation or in our AI, and then you can not call them, but email them and collaborate with them and say, hey, this is my feedback. I'm going to give you feedback. I have no doubt in my mind, I can bet you a seafood buffet that is going to be come out with it 2.0 pretty soon, right? Because it's a living document. It's going to be, continuous having feedback, continuous improve. And again, it's based on dynamic, social dynamic, societal dynamic, human behavior might change. Right now we're having a lot of protests. Like before that, you don't see that. How does AI going to, affect those kind of people, right? Another thing that is really good is I don't know what they call CASI. the Center for AI Standards and Innovation, this is like you can collaborate with NIST. Now, NIST doesn't do, let's say I have an AI system, I want you to validate it so I can sell it to the government or I can sell it to other people. They do not do third-party validation, not like some of the other system or the hardware that they do. They don't, but what they do, you can collaborate with them. They will be able to help you out, and then, they might not be able to tell you your system is like, they don't put a check mark on your system and say, oh, it's good, you can sell it, They don't do that, but you can absolutely collaborate with them, and then that's a link that you can go to, and I believe it's a research center. There are people there that collaborate with you there. And then that is like, look at this. They translate to Arabic and Japanese version. So what does that mean? Arabic people, Middle East, they are using it, and Japanese, they might be using it. So if you're doing business with Japan, or if you're doing business with Arab nations, they might say that, hey, we are using this. We just have a voluntary use in US. They might adopt it. They might say that, hey, no, we have to, prove it to me. Show me your validation. Show me your, verification. Your system, your AI system is supposed to work. Show me your impact, assessment. And then they might be able to, collaborate, or you can sell your product to them, or you can work on the product together, whatever, right there. So it's really interesting, and I think it might be, I'm not going to bet the seafood buffet on this time, but I think they might be coming up more languages as well too. So it depends, right? So again, the technologies is constantly changing, right? Who knows? So I'm really expecting maybe 2.0 coming up soon, maybe in a year or two, maybe we need to do things differently. But nonetheless, NIST is very good to have a general framework, for us to follow. And again, your taxpayer pay for this, so use it. And then the OWASP top 10 is right here, as I mentioned that again in there, so you can at least see some of the technical risk of the generative AI in there. OWASP is really good. Okay, closing, leave you two things, a joke and a quote, okay? And then I'll say, Siri, call me a cab. What does Siri do? Okay, hi cab, you're a cab. So artificial intelligence is artificial. It's never going to be as smart as you here in your brain. People program the AI right now. A lot of people might be disagreeing with me, and a lot of them might be saying, no, it's in certain situations, again, depends on what AI is using, especially when they are diagnosing on maybe a cancer cell on your lung, on some of the picture when they have a high resolution. I heard that it's actually better than human because they can spot, the malignant cell, in the high resolution. They can just spot it better than the human eyes, right? What human has that AI don't have, I believe, it's just my belief, is that the intuition, right? I don't know. I don't know whether AI have intuition or not, but I remember that when I have a project, and I was trying to automating the RMF, actually automating the RMF 853. It was a nuclear regulation personnel come up to me, and he was just saying that, well, you guys do are great, I understand that, but if you have, but how is that automation going to encompass my 10, 20 years of experience on the field? And 20 years experience on the field, I can see something just doesn't feel right? You have that intuition that, can the automation or AI do that for me? Wait to see, we don't know, right? So that is something that I just want to kind of warn you, again, AI output never go around true, right? And another quote from here, it's really alarming when I see that. It say, AI must benefit everyone, including the 1/3 of humanity who are still offline. This is 2023 from a UN General, Antonio. So AI benefit everybody. I think I advocate for that. But what surprised me is that 1/3 of the humanity are still offline. So you ask yourself, when you ask AI, what is the information that's coming from? Is they coming from online? We are missing 1/3 of the people perspective, 1/3 of the people experience, 1/3 of the people, their impact. They're not online at all. So I remember that few years back, 5 years back, I have a chance to attend a talk. Before then, IBM was really proud of its Watson. Remember Watson? Win the chess game and that. This guy come up, a bit older gentleman there, a lot of experience seems like, and they've been in, of course, been doing AI forever, IBM actually, not just recently. He was telling me, and he asked a question, he say, Watson, everybody want to know about it. And he asked the audience, say, do you know how much knowledge Watsons actually has? How much knowledge that Watson has? Does he have all the knowledge in the world? And the guy told me that it's only 10%. Watson only have 10% of the knowledge of the world, or however they use to measure it. That's just showing you that there's a lot of them that is not, remember the AI system is fit by the data? There's a lot of data is actually missing. You only have part of the data. You only have part, 2/3 of the people online, and not even all 2/3 of the people actually contributing to that data. Depends on how you collect the data. I taught statistics for like 3 years. I know the first thing you taught students is like, if you have a biased set of data, you basically just throw it out of the window. You don't use it, right? But who knows how all this like AI models, what do they use? That real world data is always messy. And then they, it's like, oh, wow, I just spent like 100,000 collect this data. I can, throw it in the window, So it's really, again, depends on your ethical issue, depends on your governance. How are you going to do that? How are you going to measure the outcome and stuff? So again, hopefully it will give you some kind of perspective, what AI is, how NIST is actually defining it. And again, I can't say any more. It's free. Try to use it. And hopefully one of this day, I'll see your use case on this website. Thank you very much, everybody. Hey, questions? Yeah.
Not really questions online, lots of platitudes, thank yous, excellent,
Thank you.
nice job. Jennifer did add just a few minutes ago when you were talking about intuition, and that intuition is based on past experience, though typically, and that isn't always correct either.
That's true. That's true. So then AI so that's why sometimes AI is doing better than human. Sometimes AI is not doing as bad as human. So it depends on what you want the AI to do, right? In the case that in the example I tell you, this is a nuclear regulatory personnel in there, right? It's really a lot at stake. And maybe he's just a little bit nervous to trying to automating the system, and then without a human intervention on that. And that's actually one of the subjects I didn't put in there is human AI interaction. I didn't really touch on that subject, on that topics. They did talk a little bit about Appendix C. Go read Appendix C. They have about 1 page or 2 pages and talk about human AI interaction. Some AI system, you need the human intervention. Some you don't. So again, it really depends on the use cases. But thank you for the question. You're right.
Sure. No, excellent.
I think
Does anybody here?
So thank you for a great presentation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lots of insight. So in the audit and cybersecurity world, let's say I'm an AI system user, and not a risk for one company may not be a risk for another company, right? So is it okay to say, okay, if I have to use your AI system, I want to make sure that you have considered all these risks?
Absolutely. That is not enough people to, how many people that actually question OpenAI, their output, right? How many people actually give them feedback, right? Exactly. I put in a simple mathematical question in there, right? I solve it by hand. It's more accurate by the AI. It gave me a different answer. And it's like putting back the answer, it's not getting the result I want, right? It's wrong all the time. So it is really up to the user. If you're the end user, then this actually also mentioned in the framework as well too. When is it going to be comfortable for the AI end user to have feedback to the AI system. Right now, it doesn't have that communication channel, right? Right now. I don't know, maybe some do, maybe some don't, but a company ought to have that. When you are using the AI framework, that is actually telling you that you need to go get your end user feedback. So, right? So if you actually are using the framework, that will be one of your consideration, and you should have a channel and continues to have the feedback and continues to improve your AI system and making sure that it's responsible, right?
You can give it guidance to go in a different direction, but it won't learn.
Yeah. Yeah. So, well, it's just right now, maybe we don't see a way, but again, technology changing all the time. Maybe another year or two, if we get a better way to do things. But that feedback need to be considered into your development life cycle. Remember?
Yeah, and that's an excellent point, that everything we're talking about here is a snapshot in time.
Yes, exactly.
And we can compare it to where it was a year or two ago, but forward looking a year or two.
Yep. And then remember societal dynamic, right? Right now, DEI is a dirty word. And imagine the company building AI and don't want to have DEI in it. How does that impact other people compared before, right? Sooner or later, who knows? And it's really scary to think about right now, our government, right? Surveillance and misinformation, right? How are you going to making sure that what we see on social media is right? Is now Facebook, I think, is it Instagram that they have you tag if this is an AI generated image. AI wrong all the time. AI is really wrong all the time. And there is a lot of people already talk about it. I went to a talk and they were doing type in certain, and right now the AI can do graphics now, right? Even better, even crazier. And they will tell them to do a fox, and then the fox sometimes will have 5 legs, sometimes it will have 3 legs, So as I say, solving mathematical problem, yeah, you can put in and you can follow the step, but don't always trust the answer, right? It's not right. So I will think that not only AI, a company need to build responsible and trustworthy AI, the end user also need to be educated enough to making sure that do not use AI as the ground truth. I think there's a lot of people using that as the ground truth. And then you say, okay, wait, AI say that. Like my mom and dad say, right, the internet say that, it must be right, So, a lot of people are thinking about that. So I think it need to be educated both way. But that doesn't mean that the company should not take responsibility on their AI, AI system. Like Dave, your picture, right? A pen is AI empowered, and then you can sell it, right? Are they responsible on that, right? How is AI, what is the impact on this, right? And everything slam AI on it, and then you're up to sell, right? So it's just like, it need to be a bit more, I kind of disappointed they say volunteer use, but I understand, what they are not forcing everybody to use. Now, again, when you're working internationally, it's a little bit different. I do believe that, for example, right, in Europe, they have a tighter privacy law than we do. So it's not surprised me that if you're going to do business internationally, they might have a framework or have some kind of requirement require you to do that. So, well, let's start it right now so you can sell your product internationally, make more money, and you can buy me a seafood buffet. Okay, any other questions? Yes, microphone behind it.
Thank you for the presentation. That was really insightful.
Thank you.
So it seems that the NIST did a great job to help companies, to evaluate AI risk. My question is, from a company perspective, what does it take to train your employees? Because you need to build a team to deal with those risks and just understand it. So how deep do you need to have a knowledge on AI? Do you need to hire experts, or do you need to train people? Or
let's look at your company's profit, right? That is money is always a good driver, right? So if your product is not selling, and if people are questioning about your product, and you say, oh no, I really want to make sure that I have a good product to sell, it's also an ethical issue too, right? And then you're looking at yours like, hey, my XYZ product is not selling that great. I wonder how am I going to improve it? And if you are setting your company, value or goal is to increase your revenue, which everybody company is. And you might want to look into, hey, maybe I will do this and that, and then hire that, and then figure out the costs and expenses. But you have to do it right? Again, interdisciplinary team, very important. A diverse and breadth team. The team have a breadth and diverse team is also important. If you want to do it right. Don't just pay lip service on it. I would say it's also a sustainability issue, right? And if you have your AI, you're doing really well right now, or I'm like, I don't know. Again, technology changed so much, societal dynamic change, right? How are you going to monitoring your AI product and making sure that it's still good? Continues on. So it's the company decision that you want to see how much I want to invest on it. I would say minimally have someone do governance. Like as I say, like Costco. One of the example when I talk to them is that we don't know what to do with AI, but we have a governance board. That's your first step, right? That's your first step. And they say, hey, look at maybe your risk is like, I'm going to take this risk. It's not that big of a deal, right? Or people just losing money. That's okay, right? Maybe. I don't know, right? So it depends on your goal and stuff. Okay, using a few dollars per person is not a big deal. You got sued for multi-million dollars. That is a big deal, right? So there's a lot of things that like every company is different, every product is different, every use cases is different. I would say that send that one-page fact sheet to your executive leader and tell them to continue and can consider it. In that spreadsheet, have a QR code you can scan, and they have an AI standard. And then you start asking your company, and my company, along with this standard, do I need to adhere to this standard? And my product is going to sell internationally, right? So, I mean, those are all like the company decision that you need to make. I would say the minimum, you have to have a governance board, and if you do it right. That's just my opinion. Anybody else? All right. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for giving me a chance to do this.